Welcome to Canadian Innovators, the show that celebrates innovation, entrepreneurs, and the Canadian spirit. I'm Jocelyn Bamford, and every week we introduce a new entrepreneur or expert on the economy to tell their stories and unpack the challenges of keeping jobs in Canada, as well as discuss potential solutions for job growth and prosperity. My guest today and back for return engagement is Mayor of Niagara Falls, Jim Diodati. We last talked with the mayor prior to his re-election, and we're going to check in on his efforts to return Niagara Falls to a top travel destination in Canada after the COVID-19 pandemic. Mayor Diodati is a lifelong entrepreneur, having established, owned, and operated several successful businesses before being elected mayor in 2010. Welcome back to the program, Mayor.
Thanks for having me, Jocelyn.
Congratulations on your re-election. Can you tell us about your priorities for this term?
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a big team effort, and I'm grateful to be in this chair, especially helping Niagara Falls, come back from what happened during COVID. It was tough on Niagara Falls. I mean, we're the number one leisure destination in the country. When you close the borders and turn off the taps to tourism, it was devastating, but we're coming back, and we're coming back strong. Some of my priorities, Jocelyn, number one, starting in January is going to be the launch of the new Niagara Falls University. It'll be called the University of Niagara Falls, Canada, part of the GUS network, Global University Systems Network. It's an international university, one of the biggest in the world. They've got medical schools in the Caribbean. They've got law schools in London, England, engineering schools in India, more than 100,000 students around the world. They're going to be setting up shop in our downtown, focusing on emerging technologies, things like data, digital, photonics, biosciences. And we're really excited. That's going to start out as a small cohort in our downtown in January. But when it gets up full steam ahead, it'll be between 10 and 15,000 students living in our downtown. And that's going to completely regentrify the downtown. It's going to help inject the thing that it needs: people living, spending, and hanging out in the downtown. So we're really excited about that. One of the other key priorities is going to be our airport. We are the biggest population in Canada without regular daily scheduled flights. And when you see what the airport has done to places like Kelowna, it makes you realize how important it is. And unfortunately, right now, to get to Niagara Falls is a two-stepper. You either fly into Toronto and come here, or you fly into Buffalo. We need to have the airport that we already have, that's owned by the cities of Niagara Falls, St. Catharines, and the town of Niagara Lake. We need to commercialize it and activate it and turn it into a real airport. That's going to be a major economic development and tourism game changer. So those would be top of my priority list.
Wow, it sounds like you got your plate full. And Mayor, you predicted that 2023 would be the year of the great recovery for Niagara Falls. Are you seeing this come to fruition in Niagara Falls?
Yeah, that's a great question. And yes, domestic tourism is hugely rebounded. Of course, that's largely the rubber tire market. The international market, which makes up 50% of the revenue into Niagara Falls, is roaring back. It's not back to pre-pandemic levels, but it's going to be hitting there. When you look at the trajectory, we're definitely on par. And one of the telltale signs of American visitation is souvenir sales. So I've been checking in with some of our souvenir stores, find out how they're doing. The numbers are going through the roof again. And of course, specifically for American visitors, the exchange rate is very much in their favor. So Americans haven't been here in several years. Their dollar goes farther. They love Canada, and we love inviting them here. So yes, tourism is roaring back, and we're really excited because $105 billion is what tourism represents to the Canadian economy. Here in Niagara, pushing $3 billion in GDP. So it's important, and we're grateful that it's coming back.
So what policies are you putting in place to attract all those folks back to Niagara Falls?
Well, one of the things we just had recently, was a grand reopening of sorts to let Americans know that we're open again. There was so much media around the fact that our borders were closed and the COVID tests and all the different requirements that you had to have to get into Canada. Now we tell them all you need is your passport. Come on in. We're open for business. Matter of fact, I had the U.S. Ambassador to Canada, David Cohen, in my office recently, and we talked about a grand reopening of Canada. I had Federal Minister Boisonneau, the tourism minister, here a few weeks ago as well, and I pitched the idea, and I said, why don't we do a grand reopening of Canada? As a mayor, we always do grand openings of businesses and things like that. I go, have you ever done a grand reopening of a country? or a province. So I pitched it to the premier as well, and the provincial tourism minister, Minister Lumsden. And I said, let's do a grand reopening on the Rainbow Bridge. We'll roll out a red carpet, let some doves go.